As summer comes to an end, Three Sisters stew is the perfect recipe because it uses three main vegetables from the late season harvest: corn, beans, and squash. Mary Lawrence is the executive chef here who specializes in vegan cuisines. Very nice to have you here. So when you say Three Sisters, you're talking about the veggies, right?
Exactly. They're the ones that grow together just like three sisters in harmony. So the corn grows tall, the beans are a vine that wrap up the corn stalk, and then on the ground are the squash, and they prevent the weeds from growing, and they also help shade the roots of the plants. So they grow harmoniously.
All right, now this is a vegan dish, so what does that mean?
It is. So it's entirely plant-based. There's no animal products, so no dairy, no meat. We're using beans for our main protein. I'm using string beans as well as pinto beans today.
All right, well, let's get cooking.
Okay, so we've got some onions here sweating right now. I'm just going to turn up the heat a little bit.
Okay.
And they just need to go for about a minute or two, but I'm going to move on. Sure. And once they sweat and they get a little bit golden, then you add your squash. So today I'm using a summer squash zucchini. It still feels kind of like that transition period where we have warm weather during the day, cool nights. So in the zucchini squash is still,
They're still in the garden, right?
Now. Yeah, so I'm using zucchini, but once the weather gets colder, you can use butternut squash or acorn squash instead. So just, very versatile recipe, but, simple ingredients.
Okay.
Then we also have some green beans that have been cut up into about 1 to 2 inch pieces.
Okay.
So then these just cook together for, again, about 5 minutes or so. I'll just add a little bit of seasoning, just some salt to get in there.
All right.
So the key is you want to have contrasting colors, tastes, and textures. So these are the green elements.
Oh.
Once this cooks down for a while, but for the sake of TV, I'll just move on. So the contrasting color would be your tomato. So you get that in. Also in season right now, I have some fresh tomatoes as well as some fire roasted tomatoes to add to the boost of flavor. So those would cook down.
All right.
And then our seasoning, we have some cumin, dried oregano, and depending on how hot you like it, some red pepper flakes. Yep.
Mary, while that's cooking, why don't you explain to us some easy ways to incorporate vegetables into your diet? Because it's new for some people.
Yeah, and really, I think about the seasons. Whatever's growing in your garden or in the local farmers markets, that's the easiest way to incorporate foods like that into your diet. Just take a look, see what looks fresh and delicious, and it's usually going to taste really good. The easiest way, I say salads, soups, and smoothies. If you have a blender, just throw those veggies into a blender, especially if you get to that point in your refrigerator and they're kind of, not looking too
Gotta use them up.
Pretty. Yeah, just throw them in the blender and they'll still taste really good.
And should we drink it or make soup or what would you?
Yeah, you could drink a veggie smoothie. You could drink, a fruit smoothie and throw some kale in for that added boost of vitamins. So yeah, there's so many creative ways you can have your vegetables. Yeah.
Okay.
So this again cooks down a little bit longer, and we've got the.
Starting to smell great.
Yeah,
it's
the
too bad
flavors.
People at home can't smell
I know
it.
the flavors coming together, and then our other sisters that would be going in. I have drained and rinsed the beans, but some pinto beans.
All right, and that's what you mentioned was the protein.
Right. And they're high in fiber. So this entire meal, very low fat, high in fiber, so it's very satisfying. You'll eat it, and you don't have to eat a lot, but you'll feel very full. And that's really the key, is to have the high fiber foods in your diet, so that people often come to me, they want to learn how to lose weight. I just say, again, salad, soups, and smoothies. Have the whole plant-based food, and you're getting all that fiber, a lot of water, both of which will make you feel full.
Get rid of cravings, would you say?
Exactly. You have some sweetness from the corn, so you stay away from those super high sweet, desserts. Sure, we crave them once in a while, especially when the weather gets cold and we want, some comfort foods. But then it's a matter of transitioning to healthier comfort foods and just getting, your flavors adjust based on the changes that you're making.
Okay. Now this is all going to go on top of a polenta, which I didn't realize is also gluten-free.
Exactly. Polenta is just made from cornmeal, and I just add water, some salt, and a little bit of Earth Balance margarine, which is a vegan margarine.
Okay.
So I'm going to let this cook down, but for the sake of TV, we have our finished stew.
Oh, and it looks wonderful.
Over here. So it cooks down, gets this nice, rich, deep color. And then we're just going to put a little bit of that right on top of our polenta. So I like to do layers of flavor. This is loaded with flavor on its own.
Okay.
But then I want to add a little bit of color, a little bit of flavor as well, some fresh parsley oil. So again, herbs in your garden, whatever looks good, and right now parsley is growing abundantly. Just blend it up in a food processor with some oil, garlic, and salt. Just do a little drizzle around the edge of the plate.
It's probably good to dip too, right?
Oh yeah, it adds layers, and here's another layer. So then I toasted some pumpkin seeds or pepitas with some cumin, chili powder, and cinnamon. So, and again, a little bit of salt, a little bit of spice.
What a beautiful dish. Perfect for fall, Mary.
Exactly. So then you've got your layers.
I love it.
Your textures with a crunch on there.
Looks fantastic. We're going to dig in at the end of the show. Thank you so much for being here. And of course, we'll have the recipe over at WTNH.com. But up next, classic horror films come alive at the Witch's Dungeon. We are going to give you a preview. We'll be right back.